Hey everyone, I'm Katie Daryl. Today we are at home and social, and I gotta tell you, I've got giggles and goosebumps because we're talking to Nile Rodgers today. Nile, thank you for being here.
Oh, I am so happy, Katie, to be here with you.
I mean, your career is pretty kick-ass, dude. Do you take moments, you wake up in the morning, you're like, it's great to be me.
Not really. That's not my personality, but um I actually I'm happy to wake up in the morning, frankly.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Well, listen, 50 great years in this industry and so many accolades. If there's a Hall of Fame, you're in it. You know, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you're in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. You've been part of or involved in over 50 million album sales globally, whether you were writing, producing, or playing on these things. And now you have a guitar that everyone can own. Tell me about the Hitmaker.
Yeah, I'm super, super proud. As a matter of fact, when I get off the phone with you, I'm getting ready to go upstairs and cut a record, and it's going to be the second record that I've cut on the new Hitmaker, which is interesting because after playing my guitar since 1973, it's hard to switch to another guitar, but it feels so comfortable that it's really working. It took Fender, I hate to say it, it took Fender about 8 or 9 years to get this right. It was so difficult for them to get it right because they didn't have specs that corresponded to this specific guitar. My guitar is the runt of the litter. It's this wacky thing that probably would have been thrown away, which is why I got it so cheaply. I mean, it was, I don't even know if this guitar costs $200. I mean, it was, I traded a guitar for it. They gave me the Hitmaker and $300 back.
They paid you to take it. They're like, just
They
take
did,
this
they
guitar
did.
out of our shop. Well, so this is so many years ago, and basically Fender's job was to try to replicate this baby of yours. And I wonder, because I know that it has such a specific sound, and you did say that the guitar was a bit of the runt. Do you think this guitar, the original Hitmaker, had damage done to it that you had to, like how people are like, oh, there was water damage or moisture damage. Like, do you think you had to like almost mess up this new guitar to give it the old guitar sound?
Everybody has all of these different opinions as to why it is what it is. The latest, which I like the best, comes from a great guitar player friend of mine. And he's got two of the top of the line Fender guitars, which are called Mary K's. And he's got two Mary K's. And he says, Nile, do you know why they can't do that? Because you got a damn Mary K and you didn't even know it, nor did the store know it. And you didn't know anything about guitars. So you took the finish off it, you painted it your way, and you actually have a Mary K. I'd love to believe that. But I've heard so many different stories that I don't know what's the truth. But the one truth is that no other guitar sounds like mine until we've made the new Hitmaker. And you can really tell. I can pick it up and I can pick up two different guitars, play the same part, and you go, oh my God, it's good, but it ain't that.
Now, kind of like how back in the day they used to do the Pepsi Coke challenge where, they'd blindfold you and you had to taste them. Right. I mean, if we blindfolded you and someone was playing the original Hitmaker versus the new Fender Hitmaker behind you, do you know? Is it kind of like your own baby? You know the sound of its cry.
Not only do I know, everybody in my band knows. Everybody knows. They look at me and go, no, that's not quite right. I go, yeah, that's because I got it. So it's not only because of the guitar, it's also the position that I play the guitar in. I do not play the guitar with the volume full out. I play the guitar between 8 and 9, and closer to 8 actually than 9. And that makes all the difference in the world. When I go full out, it's in a weird way sounds like other Strats. But mine only, it does a very weird thing in that setting. I don't know. I can't explain it. I wish I could. And believe me, I've had technical people try and explain it. And the only way that I could imitate it was at some point in time, I had a plexiglass guitar made and I electronically imitated it. So by doing it electronically, I could get the same resonant quality that I had from the Hitmaker, even though the body was made out of plexiglass.
All right. Well, for those of you just joining us, I'm Katie Daryl. He is Nile Rodgers, legendary. We are talking about his new Fender custom guitar that everyone can get their hands on. But let's talk about, in the background, we see some records. Apparently, you've done some things in your life, like perform and make every awesome song that ever existed, it seems like. For those of you that are a little unfamiliar, let me brag for a moment. I mean, you've got your hands in Diana Ross, David Bowie, Madonna Like a Virgin, Duran Duran, Daft Punk, right? All these different eras. You've been making music for over 50 years. If you were given a time machine right now and you could write another, you know for a fact, it's going to be a #1 hit, where do you want to drop it? What year?
I would say I'd want to drop it now. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because the current scene, I have to say, I don't understand. Yeah. So when I was younger and there was vinyl and record stores and the radio station and this and that, there was a path to success that we all sort of followed. Now, that doesn't mean that you were successful. It just meant that that was the path that you followed. The current path, I don't understand, even though I'm working with 20-year-olds, even though I'm working with so many young people, that they have, how do I say it? They have a different responsibility to their audience. Like when I made a record back in the day, I knew that the only thing I had to do was the word I use, and this is probably a very inappropriate word, but was seduce the next person on the food chain. So all I had to do was make sure that the promotion person really liked the record. And all I needed was for that person to want to hear it twice. I'd play the song and they say, "Can I hear that again?" I go, "Yes." And then they take it to the next person. They go, "Can I hear that record again?" I go, "Yes." So that was our concept. If you played our record twice, we felt like we were on the way to success. Now, a person can play a record whenever they want. I don't even know if they feel compelled to have to listen to the whole thing. I don't know any of that stuff. So I just make records with people because I love them. I meet them and we vibe. But then I don't know what they do after they leave.
Yeah, the music today, it's hard to quantify and it's not as tangible because there's so much private listening and, you know, sharing amongst friends, and the numbers can be confusing. Whereas there is a number, sir, that is not confusing. Your song with Chic La Freak. Freak Out. You hold this epic title. I think it's the biggest selling record in Atlantic Records history.
It is indeed. And it always has been since it came out, save for a very short period of time when Flo Rida, he passed us. And because of streaming, we were able to then pass him.
Again, you're like, I don't think so.
Maybe a year later or something like that. I don't know the exact timing, but all of a sudden it went back to Le Freak being bigger.
Well, that song gets stuck in my head. I'll hear it once and it gets stuck in my head. Do you have that same problem? Do you walk around sometimes singing your own songs because they get stuck in your head because they are so catchy?
You know, it's funny. I actually wind up singing other people's songs more than mine, because mine I know. It's funny. The other day, I'm trying to think. Now I'm having a senior moment, but I was laughing my head off because I was singing a song and I'm walking through the airport. Why the hell am I singing this song? And it was something that if you look at my history and you look at my vibe, if you will, it was the total antithesis of what you think Nile would be walking around singing. You think I'd be singing some super soulful or some funk song or some disco song, and here I'm walking around singing something like, I don't even know what it was, but it
Shania Twain, man, I feel like a woman.
was, or I kissed a girl or something.
Yeah, right. So good, so good. Oh my goodness. All right, so with so many hits under your belt, and being having a guitar like the Hitmaker, what was it like when Fender knocked on your door, or was it vice versa? Did you knock on their door and say, let's make this baby and make it accessible to everyone?
They knocked on my door. So first I knocked on their door because I just wanted another guitar, because I was terrified that one day my guitar was gonna come up missing or something was gonna happen to it,
Right.
and I wouldn't be able to repair it and it would be gone. Like, now I have to get used to something else. So I went to the custom shop and I said, make another one. And you know what? They made a great guitar, but it wasn't the Hitmaker, but it was great. So I remember playing it one night and said, Jesus Christ, this guitar sounds good. But then my friend walked in and said, that's not the Hitmaker though. And I said, what do you mean? He said, listen to the sound. And I was like, oh yeah, right. So I was just enthralled with the sound, but I wasn't comparing it to the Hitmaker. I was just, so as terrific as it was, the only time you hear me playing that was I did American Idol, and Keith Urban was the guest, or the host or whatever at that time. He's one of the 4 hosts. I never really watched American Idol, and I remember Keith Urban watching me play this Hitmaker that I borrowed, and he was like, "Wow, that sounds cool," but he didn't know what the real Hitmaker sounds like. And next thing I know, I wound up being Keith Urban's best friend, and we did a bunch of records together and we gigged together. But when I wound up making records with him, he was like, oh, I hear the difference now.
So much of your music gets sampled. I mean, a great, sampling for dummies is going back to the core, the base of, Rapper's Delight, Sugar Hill Gang. They sampled, Good Times, and this was iconic, and this changed the landscape. And now that your music has been sampled a plethora of times, do you ever consider sampling your own music to write something new?
I thought about it once, maybe, and I did it, but I only did it with something that had never been heard before. Like, I wouldn't do it with something that was popular, which goes against the grain of sampling. Of course, take something that people know.
Yeah.
But one of the records that I'm most impressed with was a song by A. Marie called It's One Thing. And when you listen to the record that they took that sample from, no disrespect, but I think the record is almost awful. But It's One Thing is absolute genius. And I thought to myself, how the hell could that person have heard that from this? So I think that I have a lot of records that are flops that may have the potential to be It's One Thing.
Now, I know you're a busy guy. You got to go make 100 new songs that we're all going to go buy. So I'm going to let you go. But before I let you go, breakfast with rock stars. What did you have for breakfast today?
I just had it. I had tomato, cucumber, mozzarella, and bologna.
Bologna? You had me until the bologna.
Yeah, because what happens is that, and olives. So I don't, because I have high blood pressure, I try not to use salt. So I use the olives and the bologna to be the salt taste.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the salt in the olives and the salt in the bologna is exactly the same thing as me pouring salt on the damn thing. So I should have just poured salt on it, but I actually like olives and I like bologna. So there you go.
Now, thank you so much for joining me today. It was really, it's a treat, really. You're the man. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. You were lots of fun. And I love that t-shirt you're wearing.
Oh, thanks. What is so crazy is I mean, it was odd. I opened up my drawer and it was on top. And I was like, where did this come from? It was like I woke up and you were in my aura. So, hey there. Thanks for watching AXS TV. Subscribe, follow, like, and do all the good stuff. And make sure you leave a comment below. I don't know. Just let us know what your favorite AXS TV show is, or who your favorite bands are, and what artists you're into, or just say hi, man. I'd like to be told hi. We love hearing from you. That's the point, all right? Keep it coming.